Yes, great to have your company here. Jam-packed show tonight. So much to get through. Some brilliant footy from Thursday right through to Sunday. A very good evening to Cameron Smith.
Hello, Brace.
Great to have you with us here, mate. Floating in the ether, Mr. Paul Gallen.
Yes. G'day, Brace.
Good to go?
100%, mate. Let's go.
Just
you know it's 100%.
Yeah, damn right. Feel good?
Thanks, Bracey. How you doing?
Top dog. Another 2 points.
It's only early.
I love it. I can do this every week, all the way to the end of the season. We're going to get stuck into that very soon. But what did we learn from the round that was? I'm starting tonight. We spoke last week about Warrior waiting in the wings in New South Wales Cup with a familiar surname, my Jet Cleary. Look out. Quite the jet. Great performance in the New South Wales Cup, this one, Gus, from him.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a good player. And he went across there because he had his brother in his pathway out at the Panthers. So they sent him back to the Warriors to get some time in the higher grades, and he's quite a prospect.
Look at that ball. He just looks so comfortable out there. Obviously, stepping up to the big grade will be something else. But either way, the early signs very good for another Cleary to set to come onto the big stage. Couldn't get enough of what we saw. What about you, Cameron?
Well, Brace, I'm sitting there Sunday afternoon at home watching the mighty Raiders go about their business, particularly in the second half, and I'm thinking to myself, a minor premiership could be right around the corner. They haven't won one since 1990, and back then, fellas, the coach, Ricky Stewart, he was the halfback, so it's been quite some time, but aren't they a joy to watch at the moment? It took them a little bit to get going. Newcastle turned up and they were brave in the first 40 minutes, but once they clicked into gear, the green machine, they were certainly very impressive. Now, I know you like buys, Brace, so they've still got a buy up their sleeve, the Raiders, and in their last 5 matches, they're only playing 2 top 8 teams. So the minor premiership, it could be theirs.
All right, watch with interest, and they are fun to watch. Gal?
I just keep seeing funny videos of the great Gus Gould. Check this out.
I've got the cleaners around me at the moment. Brad Fittler gets massages and biscuits and cups of tea, and I've got the cleaners hurrying me up. But Parramatta are absolutely terrific.
I reckon that's your cue, Gus.
Just get the telling your time's up, don't you?
Yeah.
The lack of respect, Gus, these days. What's going on? Freddie's getting massages. What's happening?
That's now 12 weeks in a row with what Paul Gallen learned has something to do with me.
He's obsessed with you.
He's obsessed.
Yes.
Like some others in the media.
Gus, what did you learn from the round that was?
The Bulldogs took their home game to Allianz Stadium yesterday to celebrate the 95 grand final, and in attendance were 13 of the 1995 Bulldogs squad. Now, incredibly, what we learned was that John Timu, who was in that team, no one had seen him since grand final day 1995.
Stop it.
And a lot of these fellas haven't seen each other for 30 years.
Wow.
Incredible. But John Timu, they all said no one saw him grand final. A few of them went off to Kangaroo tours and a few of them went off to other things, and John Timu went somewhere, and they haven't seen him since. And he turned up yesterday to the grand final celebration, which was wonderful for the game.
What about that? Great story, great scenes too at Allianz Stadium. It sets us up perfectly to kick off tonight's show. The race to the finals really heating up, and we're starting to see the cream rise to the top, but it was no different. Those Bulldogs yesterday, Gal, I've got to say, watching them once they clicked into gear, looking everything the premiership force now in that win over Manly.
No, very good. Part of me thinks Lockie Galvin, mid-season transfer, may be the signing of the year. He's been outstanding. He's got a couple of tries, setting up tries, making line breaks. He's been great, but the Bulldogs were fantastic, particularly defensively, as we know they are. They based their game around their defence and kept the Manly side to very little points. So great win, scored 40-odd points themselves. So, yeah, terrific game by the Doggies.
Cam, you must be enjoying watching Lachlan Galvin get more and more comfortable in that playmaking role.
Yeah, well, I spoke last week on the show, Brace, around Lockie and having a bit more time on the training paddock with his Bulldogs teammates. It was always going to take a little bit of time, but a player of his class, and Gus always speaks about his age, and he's only just starting out his career, and we hope it's a long career. But when he gets a bit of time on the paddock, with these teammates and understands the systems and the game plan and what the coach really wants from him, he's starting to look, better and better each week. And it was interesting to hear, Cam Serraldo and Stephen Crichton after the match talk about how only a couple of days prior to the game, they sat down and spoke about simplifying the game plan. Maybe in the last month they were trying to be a little bit too I guess, tricky with the football or a little bit too expansive. They just tried to simplify things so everyone knew and understood their roles. And they did that on the weekend, and they were very impressive.
Coach happy on recovery today, Gus?
Yeah, well, they had a day off today. They've got training tomorrow. But I think the most pleasing thing was the way they stuck at it. The first 55 minutes of that game was really semi-final quality. Manly were really good. It was still only 12-4, and Manly got held up over the line near our post, like on about the 54th minute. It could have made it 12-10. The boys defended that well, but the last 20 minutes, when they got the opportunity, they really took them. And the pleasing part was just how well controlled we were for the first hour to set up the win. And then in the final 20 minutes, how they put them away. And that'll give them a lot of confidence. Our attacks needed a lot of work. And sometimes when you feel like your attack needs a lot of work, you hasten too quickly. You've just got to go step at a time. So they really tore it back this week and made it simplified. And then as the game wore on and they got more confidence and the scoreboard ran in their favour, all of a sudden stuff they had been practising started to come out naturally, which is really how you want it to be. You want it to be muscle memory. You don't want them to think too much about it and just react to the defence, which is what they did. So it was a pleasing win, but still a long way to go.
How's Bronson Cherry's nose?
No good. No good.
The friendly fight, the Viliame kick. If there was a boot that's going to hit you in the face, Viliame's at full flight behind the graphic.
The double. Yeah. The double.
That's a size 16.
I think he's had a bit of work on his nose too,
Yeah, well, now he's had 2 jobs.
I think he had some very expensive work done on his nose. And
he could have just done that, would have fixed it.
But he was wonderful himself. He's sort of been, because of through the origin period and injuries and different things, he's been playing with a bit of injury for a few weeks. Coach gave him a weekend off last week just to refresh, and he came back and repaid the coach and the team with a tremendous display, particularly defensively, which is where the strength of the Bulldogs is, obviously. So, that's good if they can keep them all fit and well.
But even that try there, Gus, he's up against Tommy Turbo there. He's not up against a young centre or a kid on debut. He's up against one of the best players in the game, and we consider to be fantastic, and beat him all ends up.
Yeah, he's been good, Bronson. He's been getting better and better the whole time. It's only his second year back, and I still think his best is in front of him, so that's great. Unfortunately, out of the game, we've got a very serious injury. So Connor Tracy was rushed to hospital last night. He's been playing the last few weeks with a bit of an abdominal strain. Well, yesterday he virtually busted a gut and ended up in hospital last night with severe abdominal pain. Now, I've never heard of this, an inferior epigastric artery or something or other. He had a large haematoma underneath the muscles there. They were worried that he would need surgery. We're worried about his colon to start with, but apparently it's just the artery. Now, he doesn't need surgery, but he needs 3 weeks complete rest before he can even get back into some light training. We would be hopeful that he's back for the finals, but that's only hopeful at the moment. So it's bad luck for Connor and bad luck for the team, but that's the way it goes.
Next man up.
Yeah, next man up.
All right, well, we wish him all the best with that recovery. When it comes to the ladder, obviously the Doggies are nipping at the Raiders' heels, but it's Canberra, as Cam mentioned earlier before, that they are flying, sitting at the top. You see them sitting pretty. Is it their minor premiership to lose after what you saw, Gal, in that 44-18 win over the Knights?
Yeah, I think so at the moment it is, without a doubt. It's theirs to lose. They're a couple of wins clear, or at least 1 win. They might be 2 wins clear. Actually, they're still haven't had a bye yet, obviously. So I think, it's theirs to lose. I think that, look, down to from 10 and below is gone. I still think the Roosters and the Seagulls are a chance of maybe getting in there. And I still think the top 4 will change. I think the Warriors will drop out, and the Panthers, the Broncos or the Sharks, one of them will slip in there, I reckon.
We heard earlier Cam said, Gus, that it's 2 top 8 teams. That's the Dolphins and the Panthers that stand in their way in that run of 5 matches plus a bye.
Well, the way the Raiders are going, I don't think it matters who they play. But they do have a good draw, and they have got a couple of wins on the rest of the field. And you've got to keep believing your eyes. And every week they just seem to go through phases in games where it's close, and then all of a sudden they put the foot to the accelerator and they just race away from teams. Right from day one, right from the time we saw them in Vegas, I said they are fit and they are fast. And their combinations have just grown throughout the year. They've got utmost confidence in their ability to score points, and they seem to be able to rattle them up in bunches once they get going.
They looked so comfortable yesterday as the match wore on. More on the Raiders a little bit later in the show. Cam, I want to ask you about the elephant in the room on that ladder, sitting in 5th. A win and a half outside of the 4. The Panthers, 7 straight. Nathan Cleary had it on a string against the Tigers on Saturday.
Yeah, well, was it a couple of weeks ago? I said that I guarantee you that they'll be in the top 4 come the end of this season. And they'll go on to win another 2, I reckon. They'll win 9 straight, and then they've got the last month is a difficult month for them. They play the Raiders, the Bulldogs, the Storm. So that will challenge them, but the way they're going at the moment, I'll tell you what, and I'll say this again, I've said this many, many times over the last fortnight, the top 4, the current top 4 teams, they will be looking over their shoulder, looking at these guys thinking, how are we going to stop them? Because they are on a roll. Nathan Cleary, like, he's just, you know, he was busted through the Origin series, you know, had the disappointment of losing Game 3 with New South Wales, but he's got a point to prove with this footy side. I just can't believe that they are up and about this time of year again. Like early this year, we were thinking, well, time's over for Penrith. Only 2 months ago, fellas, they were sitting bottom of the ladder. It's just incredible the turnaround that they've had, and you know, it's remarkable to think that they are a chance of winning 5 consecutive premierships.
Oh,
it's
seriously, round 12 or 13, they'll last.
Yep.
Last in the competition, and not just last, but the way they were playing to me, like the basic fundamental errors, the tries that were getting scored against them, we haven't associated that with this Penrith club for the last 5 years. They've built it on the back of their defence. And the tries they're letting in were just soft as, but they've turned it around in a hurry, and I think it'll be them, the Broncos or the Sharks will sneak inside the 4. I do think the Warriors will drop out.
So if Nathan stays fit, Gus, is there a point where, and they keep winning, is there a point where they might actually end up being premiership favourites before the finals arrive?
Absolutely. I've been saying for weeks they're the team to beat. They've still got 6 or 7 of the best players in the world in various positions, and they've got a tremendous support staff there as well, and some younger fellas that are really starting to find their feet. When you play with great players, you get better. It's just a matter of time. And you know, where Panthers had a slow start to the season, I've been saying all along, they win 4 or 5 in a row, they'll leapfrog a lot of teams, and then they'll get momentum. They've got through the Origin period. They got through it well. All their stars are fit and well. And when they play to the best of their ability, I'm still saying there is no team in the competition that can match them.
What about Blaze?
It's just going to have to be a long run. It's going to have to be a long run.
It'd been impressive, Blaze Tlungy, because at the start of the year he was left out the side, but I think he's finding his feet now.
He's finding his feet because all the good players are fit and well and playing well, and then everyone else is starting they've got a great support cast. I mean, even players like Mitch Kenny and Tungor and these sort of fellas, they play their role really well. They're the team to beat, no risk in the world. It's just going to be a long run. They've set themselves a big task because they got so far behind. But, you know, I think in the last few years they've put 16 or 17 together pretty easily. I think they're going to have to win 17 or 16 in a row to win the comp.
Could be something.
They could do it.
Could be something. We're going to talk about the Melbourne Storm a little later in the show. Cam, I want to ask you about the Broncos. 2-point loss to Parramatta in a ripping match on Friday night. Is this a hiccup or a bigger hurdle than we can see right now?
Oh, I think just a hiccup. Look, like you said, Brace, it was a cracking match. And isn't Parramatta, just quickly on Parramatta, aren't they a different side when Mitch Moses is back? He was outstanding on his return. But, you know, I think it was just a little bit of a hiccup for the Broncos. They'd had a pretty good month prior to this. We just see there the skipper, Adam Reynolds, he ran 60 to get this one over. But, yeah, I think just a hiccup. They've been up for a month, as I said, month of 5 weeks. And Parramatta come with a pretty good game plan. Been impressed with the improvement of the Eels over the course of this season. They're only going to get better as well, particularly if they can keep their key position players on the field. But yeah, just a one-off for me. I think Broncos will bounce back next week.
The other big loss of the weekend, the top 4 Warriors to the Gold Coast Titans. Gus, what does that mean for the Warriors? Can they hang on to their spot in the 4?
Yeah, of course they can. Look, every team's going to have a loss like that at some stage. The Titans, as we know, have got plenty of talent and can turn it on any time. They did on this weekend. They don't do it every weekend, and it's probably caught the Warriors unawares. It puts them in a precarious position so far as the top 4 is concerned, but I still think their draw's achievable. And they've got it. It's theirs to lose. They're in the top 4, and they've got they've got games in hand to win. So I still think they can make the 4.
All right, so much still to get through. What's a very busy show here on 100% Footy. Stay with us in just a moment. 2 superstars of the NRL and NRLW, Cody Walker, Kennedy Cherrington, they're standing by. We've got a lot to get through with these two. Stay with us, 100% Footy, right after the break.
Tell you to be strong, to bury it deep.
To navigate the shadows in silence.
They celebrate the wins,
The highlight reel.
But what about the moments unseen?
the quiet battles that we fight in our minds.
The strength it takes to just keep going.
At Galera Academy, We believe in a different kind of strength.
One forged, not in silence.
But in showing up again and again.
Stick with it. A simple piece of tape.
A powerful act in self-belief.
A reminder when things get tough,
Stick with it.
and stick by others who need it.
Join us at the Go NRL Academy.
Help us change lives through mental health education. Donate via the QR code.
Or by visiting goNRLacademy.org.au.
Stick with it.
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 Yes, a great initiative supported by the NRL and NRLW, including so many of its superstars. And I'm pleased to say a couple of them are here in the studio with us tonight. Kennedy Cherrington, great to see you as always.
Good to see you, thank you.
Cody Walker, mate, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
More on the stick with it round, which brilliantly led by GI, of course, and yourselves. But first, while we've got you, geez, you've had a big year, Kennedy. Are you still buzzing from Origin? You've got the NRLW in full flight.
Can I just say thanks for having a Parramatta Eels player on? Yeah. But Mitchie got us banned. No, it's been such a great start for the women's season.
That's why you're the best.
Thank you. No, I've had a big few start of the months of the season, a bit of a rest now, so with injury. Just
How are you going with it? How's it going? Do you need?
Yeah, we were just talking earlier.
Yeah.
We don't really need our PCL, do we?
No, not when you're not fast.
No, but I'm looking to come back in the next fortnight. So really exciting. Just can't wait to be back with my team, man.
Yeah, I love it. Geez, you are all energy every time
Thank
I
you,
sit next to you.
thank
Cody, while we're on the topic of injuries, the calf.
Yeah, it hasn't been a good year for me, has it?
Oh, it's given you some grief.
It has.
How is the rehab going with it?
Yeah, it's really good at the moment. Ran on the weekend, so hopefully over the next couple of weeks I might be putting the jersey back on and helping the team out. So we'll see what happens. So you'll be playing this year, coming back? Yeah, hope so.
Good.
We'll see how the rehab goes over the next couple of weeks, but my goal is to play regardless of the circumstances. You know the calves known as the old man injury. Yeah, I know. Have they been giving it to you about that? And how do you feel about your career going forward and these little niggles? Yeah, look, it's not ideal that I'm coming up with these type of injuries. To be fair, I didn't really have a great pre-season last year. I come off a knee surgery and I was quite late to start running at the back end of pre-season. So, I've heard the commentary about retirement and all that sort of stuff and giving up, but that only motivates me more to want to put the jersey on again and really, go into the pre-season ready to go and put some work in and play next year. And I think I've still got it in me after a big pre-season, so I'm looking forward to it.
We need you back this year because we need Alex Johnson to break this record. There's a better chance if you come back.
I think me and Trell are fighting over the tries here, so we'll see.
You know how many you've given him?
No, I haven't. I haven't.
We'll go back and count.
I'll have to ask him at training.
Yeah. We'll get Middo onto that because I reckon that's worth knowing by the end. But it will be a special moment though. We're hoping it happens this season to see him go break that Ken Irvine record that's looked unbeatable. Yeah. Look, he's done a fantastic job over his career. Scoring some magnificent tries. He just knows where to be in certain aspects of the game and. To be a part of it would be once in a lifetime opportunity. I'd just love to be on the field, even if I don't, pass the last pass. I'd still love to be a part of the game.
He should already have it broken because he had a year off there one year, and Robert Jennings scored 20 tries.
He played fullback that year.
Yeah, he played fullback. Yeah. He scored 20 tries in his position on that side. Tell me this: how old were you when you debuted?
26.
26. Why did it take so long?
Yeah, I probably wasn't a first grade football player at a young age. Like I didn't have the training work ethic. I didn't have the diet and everything that it takes to be a first grade footballer. And once I got that, I was probably a little bit later on in life. I didn't have the opportunities that I did as a young kid. So I just had to work my way through reserve grade. So
what made you stay with? What made you keep doing it?
Probably the birth of my eldest boy. 2011, my ex-partner had him, and I didn't have a job, I didn't have a licence, didn't have a car, so I had nothing really going for me. So I had to, turn my life around for my eldest boy, and I always credit my kids in turning my life around for the better. And hard work beats a lot of talent, I suppose.
So what's rugby league given you now when you think about all that?
Yeah, absolutely everything. It's given a roof over my family's head. It's given an opportunity for my kids to
go to a great school. My son's boarding at Scott's College over at Bellevue Hill, and it's given this great opportunity for my kids to play a lot of sport in Sydney. Probably wouldn't have lived in Sydney if I didn't play rugby league at a professional level. So, yeah, it's given me absolutely everything, and I owe a lot to the game.
So in today's world where football clubs are looking for instant success and, terrific teenagers and that, and some kids get pushed out too early, what's your message to them?
I suppose the campaign's a perfect one, and stick with it. My story is one of that, and it's a great example of that. I've had to, live through that, I suppose, reserve grade lifestyle, working, going to training of a night time and not getting home till late. And I had to do that for 4 or 5 years till I got another opportunity to be a first grade footballer. So I didn't want to give up at anything, and once I had a hold of the first grade opportunity, I didn't want to let it go. So.
Do you think that made you hungrier? We see a lot of teenage kids and young kids today get big contracts too early, and it really causes them problems. You've had to fight for everything. Do you think that's made a difference?
Yeah, I think that's made me appreciate the opportunity in front of me. But I think, Melbourne done a great job with the working program when I first went down there in 2014. Mate, you had to work 2 weeks in a row and get up early to do gym of a morning, and then go and do field in the afternoon. And it just made you appreciate the opportunity in front of you. And when you got back to that full-time, training, it was easier, you know what I mean?
Kennedy, I know you're going to have a long career in the rugby league media. You got a front row seat learning from the best out the end there.
Yep.
Isn't he? When he goes one-on-one, just diving deep into someone's career.
I love it.
You're a ripping story, Cody. Kennedy, for you, the women's game as it stands right now on the back of that unbelievable Origin series, the TV ratings say it all, the crowd numbers, NRLW Magic Rounds, first one ever this weekend as well. We're expecting plenty there in Newcastle.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really exciting. First time for the women's space, 6 games at Newey. Off the back of the momentum and the Trailblazer season over the last 2 periods for Origin has been intense. It's been monumental just for the women to be a part of it, and the rest of the playing group for the NRLW. It's insane. We've got household names within NRLW clubs, not just State of Origin. So what a time to be a female athlete. What a time to be a part of the NRLW. I do believe that the NRLW is the greatest women's product in the world. And live and free on Channel 9.
Hell yeah.
And you get to play with your sister.
Yeah.
So how's that go?
Yeah, I love it. Sometimes
are you older?
Yes.
Do you feel like you have to look after her? Well, how's it feel from your point of view?
Actually, this year she's stepped up a lot more maturely. So she's my hooker, so she tells me what to do. So I'm a locker. Sometimes you just have to listen. Yep, go forward. But I think we've struggled bringing footy home. That's probably the thing we've kind of dealt with, is when to be teammates, when to be sisters. But no, I'm very passionate about sticking up for my teammate, whether it's my sister or whether it's my fullback or anyone like that. But I love it. That's pretty cool.
Now, the Stick With It campaign. Been loving the development of this and seeing a bit of it going on behind the scenes. Now it's out there. The launch has happened. The round's coming up this weekend. You've got the box of goodies here.
Yes.
Run us through the initiative.
All right. So GI, I've been a part of, I've been a part of the last 4 years. And obviously mental health and everything surrounding suicide stats is a national emergency right now. And, being GI, going through things in his own personal story since he was literally 14 years old, right up until he retired, has still struggled with mental health, and he's really, really open and passionate about his story. So I work alongside him as facilitating an ambassadorship with schools out regional parts of Australia, Queensland, New South Wales. So currently I'm doing a school in Nowra, school in Kelso, which is Bathurst, and then down Nowra, Ulladulla, all around the place. So
and the tape, right? So,
yes.
And Cody, I know you're massive on your tape, and you're always tapping your wrist for a message for someone at home or in the community. So this is we're going to be seeing players.
We're going to see players wearing this at 8 clubs. Is that right?
Majority of them, all the NRLW clubs. And then,
all the NRL clubs are going to be wearing this. So
yeah, great.
It's a great initiative.
Exactly. So you'll be all your boys, the ones that aren't injured at South, will be out hopefully scoring plenty of tries.
I think it's just really nice to bring a physical aspect and awareness to mental health rather than mental illness being something we don't really see. It's something that can be assumed that you're not really going through. So the Stick With It tape is a physical aspect for the NRL and NRLW players to bring awareness to mental health, because it's so important and everyone goes through it.
Look at you go.
Thank you.
Absolutely can't. Too good. You never gave 9 a plug
Take
along
your
the
job
way.
soon, brother.
Good. Don't worry. I'm expecting it. Kennedy, great to have you here. And well done backing such a great initiative. And Cody, all the best in recovery. I think half your salary cap sitting on the sideline at the moment, mate. So all the best for South too for the rest of the season.
Appreciate it.
Two of the legends joining us here in the studio tonight. The Stick With It campaign. Get on board as we count down to round 22 in the NRL. An NRLW Magic round. More to come after this break. The Goodfather, the GOAT, and Gal back in a moment. Sorry. I just love it. It's just, it's like the top of the show. The
Why
2
don't you
points
put the
in
camera on the goat?
Yeah,
Why is it always on me?
I don't know, because you're more like, it's the Goodfather. Like a big mob leader. Yeah, exactly. See? Cameron
About
knows.
time I started putting a few hits on.
Let's get into our menu here for the Goodfather, the GOAT, and Gal. Cameron, I will start with you. The eligibility debate there's a lot of talk about it at the moment. The impact that it could have on Origin, the impact it could have on international football. There's going to be some sort of big discussions happening with the Commission, etc. Where do you think, or where would you like it to land?
Well, I've had a stance for quite some time, Brace, that if you played State of Origin, you should play for the Kangaroos, or you should be available for the Kangaroos. But I think we can all acknowledge that the landscape of the NRL has changed significantly over the last 10 years. I think the percentage of Polynesian players in our game now, it's almost 50-50, or 50% Polynesian players playing in our game, which is an incredible amount of Polynesian players. And it's a credit to those young men and women that are playing our game and are playing at this level. So, when I look at the situation that we find ourselves in with Payne Haas, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow and Tino Fa'asor Malaawi, all of these guys represent their states, either Queensland, New South Wales, talking about the possibility of defecting from the Kangaroos now to go and play for Samoa. I can understand that. You see the tears from Tino and the significance of why he is able to play in the NRL and play for Queensland in the State of Origin was because one of the greats of our game and greats of Queensland, Arthur Beetson, recruited his father from Samoa out here to Australia. So I can understand the significance of then wanting to go on and represent Samoa. Looking back on my career, I was only eligible to play for the Kangaroos. I didn't have any sort of dual eligibility like these players that we're watching on screen. So I'm starting to soften my, opinion on that debate. And allow or relax those rules to allow these guys to make that decision to play for whatever country they believe they want to play for.
Which was Victor Radley's decision to play for England, and he was more than happy to miss out on State of Origin to do that, Gal. But do you think we'll be seeing him available for selection next year?
I'm like Smithy. I'm at the start of the year, I was like, look, a lot of these guys, most of these guys we're talking about are born in Australia. You're born in Australia, you pay tax in Australia, you live in Australia, you're Australian. You're Australian, you should be playing for Australia. But I understand they want to represent their heritage, so I am starting to soften on it now. But I think this is more of an international rule problem than an Origin problem for me. I think you should have to choose your international eligibility at the start of your career. So just when you're 16, 18 years of age, you should have to choose who you want to play for. I don't like the fact these guys that play for Australia, they can now go and play for Tonga or Samoa or Italy or France or wherever it might be. I actually hate it. I think it's totally wrong. Like at the start of your career, you should have to choose your international eligibility and stick to it. As far as Origin goes, as long as you're eligible to play for New South Wales or Queensland, you're in that state, you live in that state, you play your first game of international footy by the time you're 12 or 13 years of age, then you should be eligible to play for New South Wales or Queensland. I get that. But when it comes to international footy, choose your eligibility early on, very early on, so you don't have to deal with this stuff. I hate the fact players can chop and change.
Final word from you on this one?
Yeah, the only reason we're doing that is because we're in a transition period. It was only 10 years ago that we could actually field Pacific Island nations, with NRL quality talent. So the rules have to change. The demographic of our game has changed incredibly over the last 15 years, let alone over the last 40 years when Origin first started. I'm 100% with you. I don't think you could say, well, I'll play for the Kangaroos. If I don't make that, now I'll go and play for another country. Or, I've played for the Kangaroos for a while, now I want to go and play for Samoa and Tonga. And eventually the eligibility rules won't allow that. You will have to declare, when you're young, who you want to play international football for. If you qualify to play origin football in this country because you were born in this country, or you came to this country at a certain age, or you played junior football here and you developed here, you have the right to play origin football. The international stage should be completely different. And it's the international stage that ultimately is going to sell this game beyond our shores, beyond what it is domestically at the moment. If we want our game to truly grow, it's on the international stage that it will happen. Pacific Islands, UK, New Zealand, everywhere else we can get the game to play. That's where it's got to grow. So we want our players playing for those nations of heritage, or where they feel that they should be
Gus,
playing.
how much does the game really think? How much does the game really care about that? We've gone from, in my time, 22 rounds to 24 rounds to 26, 25. Now we're at 27 rounds. We've got 2 or 3 more teams coming in the competition.
Yeah.
How much do they really care about the international game?
Well, they haven't cared enough. That's been the problem, because there really hasn't been an international game. You know, when you look at it, it's only been in the last 10 years that the Pacific Island Test football has really started to take on significance, because they're very prominent NRL qualified players. Every player who plays international football, other than if you're in the UK, will have to play in the NRL. That's why the NRL should control international football. The NRL should control an 8-year rolling, calendar of rugby league to make sure we're not playing 27 rounds of domestic football, that we do have windows in the middle of the year for Test football, and that we're not playing through till the end of October and starting again in early February. But we're in a transition phase. That's why someone's got to get hold of it right now, because now's a good time to strike.
Bang on. Next issue, Cam, Gals Sharks. 2-point winners over last place South. What can we read into that? Are they the real deal or fool's gold?
Oh, well, they need to improve, don't they, the Sharkies? And listening to Fitzy after the game, he wasn't overly happy, particularly with their attack. I think they just bumbled their way through this match. And I'm not sure whether that was an attitude issue or whether they just played poorly. They were taking on a South team that have been hit extremely hard by injuries. They lost another one on the weekend with Tavita Totola. So Jackie White, he's going to be missing a few weeks. Well, he's going to contest, but he's going to miss a few weeks. But I just don't know about the Sharkies. When they're on, they look really, really good. But when they're off, they look very mediocre. I think Brayley's had an outstanding last 5 weeks, and that's why they've been up and about. But to only just sneak past a team that's struggling as badly as the Rabbitohs are, they're possibly looking at a wooden spoon. To sneak past them by just 2 points, I'd be a little bit concerned for all Sharky supporters. I'd like to get Gal's take on this one.
Win's a win. Win's a win, boys. Win by 1, win by 30. It's 2 points. Tell you what, I reckon the Warriors or the Broncos would have taken it on the weekend. But anyway, move on.
Gus, got to ask, the Melbourne Storm, they get by the Roosters in a unbelievably entertaining and tight match in the end, but they've lost Jerome Hughes. Can they survive and stay in the 4 and still push for a premiership without him before finals?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely they can survive without him. They'll have a couple of handy replacements in Pezzett and Wishart, which will be able to do the job. Remember, they've still got Harry Grant, they've still got Cameron Munster, and they've got Pappenhausen to come back. Jerome Hughes will be a bonus when he comes back for the final. So I don't think it's really going to affect the way that club functions and the way that team functions. They'll cover for Jerome Hughes. They will cover for that position in the next 6 weeks and win the games. Bizarre game the other night.
If he can't come back, do they win the comp? Can they win the comp if he can't come back?
Absolutely they can.
Do you reckon they can win the comp without him?
Of course they can.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think they can win the comp without him.
And just on the Sharks are in front of the Panthers at the moment. They've
They
had
are.
wins in the Panthers.
They've won 11 games.
They're in 5th position. It's your stupid buys that keep stuffing up the ladder.
Exactly.
Your buys. You're
2
the only
points.
person keeping buys in the game.
No, I'd rather the 2 points not be there, but while they're giving
That's
us
all
the
you
2
talk
points,
about.
it's just fun to count. The Raiders still got a bye to come. Anyway, before we wrap up, the good father, the goat and gal, bye-bye-byes. Our cash converters conversion of the week. How can we go past this in the NRLW? Jesse Southwell, 18 from 18 in the competition so far. A couple of NRL teams that could definitely be using that boot as well. Superstar.
She takes it very seriously. She obviously practices very hard. Success smiles on effort.
Look at that.
She's kicking really well. It's the biggest improvement in the women's game is the kicking, not just the goal kicking, general play kicking, field goals. It's one of the big improvements.
Well said, Gus. Stay with us. You're watching 100% Footy right after the break. Denny Weidler swings by for Scuttlebutt Central. A bit in the mailbag too. See you right after this. You got a scoop for us, Gus? You know something or something.
I might be wrong.
Why was it? Well, he can only be done at the Dogs then if he's dealing in facts.
Don't stop me.
Scuttlebutt Central here on 100% Footy. Denny Weidler is here. Hello, Denny.
James.
Well, we can see the big man on screen there, Cameron Munster, making moves.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Before we get to that, Jerome Hughes, you talked about him. He's about to sign a new deal with the Storm. So that's
good news.
That's good news for them. And that could have repercussions for Jonah Pezzett, whether he stays there as well.
Because there's that clause, isn't there?
Yeah,
somewhere if Jerome hangs, he can go.
Yeah, he
right.
can go. And look, the Storm probably realised that they could end up losing him. But there's also been a lot of scuttle around Cam Munster. That team like the Bears have him in their sights and could sign him up to be their marquee.
Poker face.
Sorry, Gus.
To be their
from the best.
to be their marquee player. But there's almost been like an acceptance that Munster would leave, and I went to the Storm today and asked them. I said, "What's all this talk about?" And to say that, look, probably the best way is to describe it is they're bemused by talk that they're just going to let Munster go. He's there for 27, and the Storm been pretty adamant about keeping players to their contracts. Yep. And not even, maybe a swap deal here or there, but you can't swap a player for Cam Munster, unfortunately for you, James Bracey.
You can't swap anyone from the Bears. No one's there yet.
so you know what I mean? There's no swaps going on. So I don't know how this talk is going to go, but Munster's name keeps getting brought up. Cam, can you see a world where the Melbourne Storm will let Cam Munster go early out of a year of a contract?
No, I can't, Denny. I think this is scuttle. This is all it is. Knowing Cam Munster and the type of person he is, not just the footballer, but the type of person he is, I think he'd like to stick out his time in the NRL as a one-club player at the Melbourne Storm. I think he's built a great life down there in Melbourne around his football career. He's built a young family with his wife Bianca. And I know he's got a great relationship with Craig Bellamy and also the chairman, Matt Tripp, of the Melbourne Storm. So I really can't see him moving on and playing elsewhere. I know it'd be fairly enticing as a marquee player moving over to the West in the new franchise. And he's been coached by Mal Meninga as well at the Kangaroos, and they get along great as well. But I just can't see Cam moving away from the Melbourne Storm as long as he's playing in the NRL.
All right, moving on to topic number 2 as quickly as possible. You've got the Bulldogs here, so we just look at this bloke and away you go.
Well,
how did Bulldogs get into Scuttlebutt tonight?
We're about to find out.
Gus, it's the Lockie Galvin Cup this week, as it's been called.
Tiger.
You know that the media is going to be obsessed with this, people like me and others.
Yep.
Lockie Galvin up against his old club. But there's an interesting subplot to this which probably won't get brought up too much this week, but probably should be. The Jerome Luai factor. Luai, obviously, at the Tigers, they're massive signing, but he so could have easily been a Bulldog. And Gus, are you willing to share with us how close Jerome was to actually being at the Dogs?
I don't think he was ever close, really. No, I know he's got some good friends at the Bulldogs. I mean, Matt Burton and Stephen Crichton and Billy Army Kickow and the coach Cameron Ciraldo, but it was pretty much all about the money when Jerome was considering leaving Panthers, and we couldn't have got anywhere in the ballpark of where he ended up at West Tigers. And good luck to him. He deserves the money and he's done great for them, and they're a better club for having him there. But no, there was never any realistic chance of him coming to the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I thought he was a good chance, so that's incorrect scuttle, is that what you're saying?
Well, it was incorrect scuttle at the time, yes.
Okay.
Which you've now repeated. So you've wasted 5 minutes on the scuttle tonight.
Well, I had a crack anyway.
It's his favourite segment.
Just quickly, can I go to Cam before we get kicked off?
No, absolutely.
Cam, I wanted to know, look, there's been a lot of talk about you and assistant coach of the Kangaroos, and where is that at? Because I keep on hearing that you're still a contender. Are you in or out, or are you hopeful or not?
No, there's been no decision made as yet, Danny. All I can say is that I took a phone call from Peter V'landys about a week ago, and where he informed me that he'd made a decision to make Kevy Walters the coach of the Kangaroos, which is, I think it's a great appointment. Kevy's been a coach at a top level now for quite some time. He was the coach of Queensland for several years. He was my coach for 2 seasons 2016, 2017 with the Maroons, and they were quite successful. So I'm very happy for Kev. I know he's quite passionate. He's very passionate about the Kangaroos program and the jersey. You know, he was a tourist himself in a Kangaroo tour, so I think he's going to do a great job. But as far as my role with the Kangaroos are concerned, you know, I can't shed any more light on it. I haven't had any further discussions with Peter V'landys at all. As we know, he's the one that makes the decisions around these type of things. So I've got to speak with him a bit further about, you know, what that role would look like and if I was the best person for it.
All right. We'll keep our ears and eyes out for that one.
Some successful Scuttle.
Yeah, a little bit of Scuttle. Hit and miss every now and then. By the way, that's what the segment's for, baby. Scuttlebutt Central, we're done with Denny tonight. Thank you, as always, Mr. Widler. Stay with us. Our Tab Top 3 right after the break. Welcome back. Our Tab Top 3 got tries of the round. Could have done a top 50, but Gus, Nathan and the banana kick, stop it.
Brilliantly executed. I remember when he was young, him doing a session with Andrew Johns, who showed him how to do these kicks. But to do it so expertly under that sort of pressure, look at that, just brilliant.
Well, let's go to number 2 on the back of that Nathan masterclass in Cairns, Suncorp Stadium. We saw some rippers.
Oh, well, Gus is saying if you allow the ball to bounce, you invite disappointment into your life. And on that occasion, Sean Russell, didn't he really make a beautiful effort there? Nice chip and chase to finish over Reece Walsh. Great try.
Mitchy Moses making a difference as always in the old chip and chase. And Gal, this one got you goat. Kieran Foran, the old fella.
Kieran Foran had a fantastic game, turned the clock back. He threw this cutout pass in the second half. That one there was a great pass, obviously. He had a try assist in the second half, threw a cutout pass. Okay, now watch his for a pass. Beautiful pass. Let me tell you, it kills me because my under-14s team want to throw a cutout pass all the time, not knowing opposition teams of their age don't defend like that. Under-14s dealer, stop throwing cutout passes.
Well said, coach, and well done, of course, to Desi.
Allow the players to express themselves.
They express themselves, they do what they want.
See you in a minute.
Not all buffhead forward.
We're done and dusted on 100%. Thank you, Cameron.
Thank you, fellas.
Thank you, Gal. Gus, what about you one-on-one with Cody Walker?
He was brilliant.
It's like 60 minutes style. Well done. Another 2 points coming this weekend. Bye for now.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sports.